The night Mia Lennox found the janitor, Malik Reed, kneeling beside her son Caleb's wheelchair, supporting his trembling legs as he stood. A primal fear seized her. Caleb, her disabled boy, hadn't stood unassisted in a year. Yet hope blazed in his eyes. Malik, calm and confident, met her fury with quiet conviction. He asked for my help. Ma'am. Mia's world, built on control and rigid medical protocols, shattered. What if this unassuming man, who mopped her floors, held the key to her son's impossible dreams? Mia Lennox moved through her mansion, a brilliant CEO whose life was a perfectly constructed fortress. Every element, from the pristine marble floors to the perfectly manicured lawns, reflected her need for control, a control she desperately clung to in the face of her son Caleb's paralysis. Her days were a meticulously scheduled ballet of investor calls, board meetings, and therapy appointments for Caleb, each designed to manage his future, even if it meant suppressing his own fragile hopes. Caleb, a gentle boy of 7 years, possessed a quiet resilience, but Mia recognized the subtle shadow of resignation in his eyes, the weariness of a child who had heard no too often from doctors and therapists alike. His wheelchair, a gleaming testament to his condition, was his constant companion, his progress having stagnated for months. Mia's every decision was an attempt to outrun the ghost of false hope, the terror of Caleb falling, the crushing weight of another disappointment after countless therapies had yielded little. Malik Reed, her night shift janitor, moved through the house with an almost spectral quietness. A tall, strong man, he seemed to absorb every detail of the Lennox household, yet spoke little, his presence as understated as the hum of the air conditioning. Malik was a single father to his own daughter, Zara, a bright 9-year-old with autism, whose care consumed his days. He carried his own quiet burdens and a profound, unheralded wisdom, a silent observer in a world that rarely noticed him. The fragile order of Mia's world fractured one evening when she returned home unexpectedly, the exhaustion of a 14-hour workday clinging to her like a shroud. A soft hum of voices drew her towards Caleb's room. She heard, "Hold on, champ. Don't look down. Look at me." The words, deep and gentle, were unmistakably Malik's. For a split second, Mia thought her fatigue had conjured a cruel trick of the mind, but the scene unfolding before her was terrifyingly real. Malik was kneeling on Caleb's bedroom rug, his sleeves rolled up, sweat beading on his brow, his steady, trained hands supporting Caleb's trembling legs. Caleb was not in his wheelchair. He was standing, leaning, shaking, breathing hard. But he was standing. "What?" Mia choked, her voice cracking under the sheer weight of disbelief. Caleb startled, wobbling precariously. But Malik's hands were there instantly, a soft, reassuring pressure near the child's knees. "That's it. Bud, you're okay. I've got you." The tenderness in Malik's voice, confident and practiced, struck Mia like a physical blow. It was too intimate, too practiced for a man she paid to mop floors. "Malik," Mia said, her tone dangerously quiet, each syllable a tightly coiled threat. "Step away from my son." Malik's eyes widened, not in guilt, but with an almost apologetic sorrow. He lifted Caleb gently under the arms, carefully lowering him back onto the plush rug before rising smoothly to his feet. "Miss Lennox," he said, his breath steady. "You weren't supposed to be home yet." "Obviously," Mia snapped, her pulse hammering so loudly she could hear it in her teeth. Caleb, her boy, who hadn't stood unassisted for more than a handful of seconds in almost a year, was flushed with an almost unbearable excitement. His hair clung to his forehead, his cheeks glowed with exertion, and his small chest rose and fell with exhilarating gasps. "Mom," he gasped, his voice thick with wonder. "I did it. He helped me. Mom, I felt my legs." Mia forced herself to kneel beside him, ignoring the panic twisting violently through her ribs. "Sweetheart, you shouldn't be standing without your therapist. What if you'd fallen?" "He didn't let me," Caleb insisted, pointing at Malik with earnest conviction. "He knew exactly where to hold me." Mia turned her burning gaze to Malik, her eyes alight with the cold fury that had once frozen entire boardrooms. "You will explain to me right now why you were touching my son." Malik swallowed, straightening his shoulders. It was not an arrogant posture, but the stance of a man accustomed to being underestimated. "He asked for my help, ma'am." "He's a child," Mia shot back, her voice laced with venom. "He asks for candy for breakfast. That doesn't mean he gets it." "I wouldn't have done anything dangerous," Malik replied, his voice even. "You already did." Mia bit back, and Caleb flinched at the sharpness in his mother's tone. Malik noticed instantly. "Miss Lennox, Caleb said he wanted to try feeling his legs again. He told me he missed trying, so I—" Mia cut him off, her voice laced with incredulity. "So you decided to do physical therapy in my home, without permission, without credentials?" Malik exhaled slowly, a controlled release of frustration. "Ma'am, with respect, I studied rehabilitation before. Before what?" "Malik, before you decided to pick up a mop." His jaw tightened, not in anger, but with the deep hurt of someone who had heard similar words far too many times. "Before my daughter needed me full-time. Before I had to take any job that let me work at night and take care of her in the day. I didn't quit because I wasn't good at it. I quit because life cornered me." Caleb tugged at his mother's sleeve again, desperate. "Mom, he didn't hurt me. He helped me. I felt something. I don't know how to explain it. Like little fireworks." Mia turned to Caleb, her voice softening, but firm. "Caleb, this isn't safe. It's the safest I've felt in months," he whispered. And the words sliced clean through Mia's defenses. Malik stepped back, his hands at his sides, his posture open, almost deferential. "If you want to fire me, I understand, but please don't think I touched your son out of carelessness. I know what I'm doing. I wouldn't risk hurting him." Mia stood, moving towards the door, trying to keep her breathing measured. "Mr. Reed, out of the room now." He nodded once, then quietly slipped past her into the hallway. She closed the door softly so Caleb wouldn't hear the storm gathering behind her voice. When she turned, Malik stood waiting, shoulders straight, hands clasped. He looked like a man bracing for a verdict he'd received too many times. "How long have you been doing this?" she demanded. Tonight was the first time. "Why did you even try?" "Because he asked." Malik answered, meeting her gaze with a calm bravery that unsettled her. "And because a kid asking for hope, that's not something I can ignore." She hated the way those words hit her, because they felt true, painfully true, and she hadn't expected truth from him. "Mr. Reed, you are not to touch my son again without explicit permission." "Yes, ma'am." His voice was soft but resolute. "But for what it's worth, he's stronger than people think. I don't need your opinion on my son." Malik nodded, accepting the blow. "Understood." She wanted to end the conversation, to send him away forever so she could restore the fragile order she clung to. But her mind kept replaying the impossible Caleb standing, Caleb laughing, Caleb glowing with life. It made everything harder, messier, more dangerous for both of them. Mia finally said, "Go home for the night." Malik hesitated, then bowed his head slightly in the polite, almost old-fashioned way some older Americans sometimes used. "Good night, Miss Lennox." When he left down the polished hallway, carrying the faint smell of lemon cleaner with him, the house felt emptier than before. Mia returned to Caleb's room. He looked up at her with wide, hopeful eyes. "Mom, did I do something wrong?" The question shattered her. She knelt, pulled him close, felt his small heart thudding against hers. "No, sweetheart. You did everything right." But as she held him, the fear wouldn't loosen its grip, because beneath all her anger, beneath all her caution, a single truth terrified her more than anything. What if the janitor wasn't wrong? What if he was the first person in months who actually believed Caleb could still rise? Mia barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Caleb's trembling legs, Malik's steady hands, and that look on her son's face, hope, bright and terrifying. By morning, exhaustion pressed against her skull, but she forced herself into her routine. Coffee brewed strong, leather briefcase snapped shut, hair pulled into a tight twist. Control, order. That was how she had survived the last 2 years. But as she walked down the sweeping staircase toward the kitchen, she found Malik already there, wiping down the marble island with disciplined, deliberate motions. He stood straighter when he noticed her, his shoulders lifting with a hint of instinctive caution, like someone used to navigating rooms where he didn't quite belong. "Miss Lennox," he said softly. "Good morning." She didn't return the greeting, not because she wanted to be rude, but because her mind was still tangled from the night before. "We are going to talk about what happened," she finally said. Malik nodded once, folding the cleaning cloth neatly, a gesture so precise it almost irritated her. "Yes, ma'am." She gestured toward the breakfast nook where sunlight streamed through tall windows overlooking the lawns. "Sit." He hesitated. "Ma'am, I'm not supposed to." "I said, sit, Mr. Reed." He obeyed. Mia sat across from him, her fingers wrapped tight around her coffee mug. "Last night," she began, "what you did was completely unacceptable." Malik lowered his gaze in quiet acknowledgement. "I understand why you're upset." "Upset doesn't begin to cover it." Her voice sharpened, but she fought to contain it. "You put your hands on my son, my disabled son, without permission. You used medical techniques you are not licensed to use. You could have harmed him." Malik inhaled deeply, then spoke with calm clarity. "Ma'am, with respect, I didn't just do something random. I knew the technique, I knew the risks, and I didn't push him. He asked to try." "He's 7, she snapped. "Children ask for things without understanding consequences." "And sometimes," Malik replied softly, "adults say no without understanding what a child actually needs." Her jaw tightened. She wasn't used to being spoken to like that, measured, firm, but not afraid. He wasn't challenging her authority. He was challenging her fear. And it infuriated her because she knew he was seeing something she didn't want seen. "You can't speak to me that way," she said. "I'm not trying to disrespect you, ma'am." Malik answered. "But Caleb, he's fighting even when everyone else stopped believing he could." She flinched. The truth had weight. It always did. But coming from a janitor, it hit like a stone. "You don't know anything about my family." Malik's voice gentled. "I know what it looks like when a kid's giving up. And Caleb isn't. Not yet. Not if someone gives him the chance." She looked away, staring at the yard beyond the glass. "Please don't pretend you understand what I'm dealing with." "I'm not pretending," Malik said. "My daughter Zara. She's autistic. Communication is hard. School is harder. I know what it feels like to watch your child struggle and feel helpless to fix it." She blinked, surprised. She had never asked about his personal life. She never thought to. "You have a daughter, 9 years old, smart as hell, sensitive. She's my whole world. Something softened inside Mia before she could stop it. A single father doing everything he could. The kind of parent she wished she had been more consistently. But she shoved the feeling aside. "This is not about your daughter," she said firmly. "This is about boundaries." "Yes, ma'am," he agreed, voice calm. "And I crossed one. I'm owning that." She exhaled shakily. "Then we're on the same page." Malik studied her face, not boldly, but with the attentiveness of a man who knew emotions sometimes spoke louder than words. "Are you asking me to leave the job?" The question hit her unexpectedly hard. She should say yes. It would be simpler, safer. Firing him would restore order. But then she pictured Caleb's eyes, lit with something she hadn't seen in so long. She pictured that fragile stand on the bedroom rug, and for reasons she wasn't ready to admit. Firing Malik felt wrong. "No," she said finally. "You can stay for now." Relief flickered across his face. Subtle, controlled, but unmistakable. "Thank you, ma'am. However," she continued, "you are not to attempt any physical assistance, training, stretching, or therapeutic contact with my son, not unless I explicitly approve it." Malik nodded. "Understood. And even if I approve it, everything will be supervised. I will be present, or a professional will. Of course, if you break that rule again, this job ends immediately, no warnings. You have my word." She wasn't used to hearing sincerity spoken so plainly. It threw her off balance. A voice called out from down the hallway. "Mom? Caleb?" Mia stood at once, smoothing her blazer, regaining the rigid posture she wore like armor. "I need to get him ready for school," she said. Malik stood as well. "I'll finish the kitchen." As she turned to leave, Malik added quietly, "Miss Lennox, thank you for not firing me on the spot." She didn't look back. "I didn't do it for you." "I know," he said. "You did it for Caleb." The words followed her like a shadow because they were true. And it had been a long time since someone spoke truth to her with no agenda attached. Later, as she helped Caleb into his wheelchair, she caught herself watching her son differently. His eyes shone with the stubborn spark she remembered from before the diagnosis. "Mom," he whispered, "is Mr. Reed in trouble?" "No," she said. "But there are rules and he has to follow them." Caleb nodded, but disappointment tugged at his features. "He helped," he murmured. "He really did." Mia softened her voice. "I know you think so, but it's complicated." "It doesn't feel complicated," Caleb said. "It feels like he believes in me." The statement hit her square in the chest when she wheeled him toward the front door. Mia glanced back toward the kitchen. Malik stood there, wiping down a counter in slow, thoughtful circles, his posture quietly heavy. She had no idea what to do with him, this man who lived in the shadows of her home, but had seen more of her son's potential than she had dared to hope for. She told herself she would keep her distance. She told herself this was temporary. But as she watched Caleb look toward the kitchen with longing, an expression she'd never seen directed at any therapist, Mia felt the first crack in the wall she had spent years building, and without warning, a thought came to her, uninvited and unwelcome. What if I've been protecting Caleb from the wrong things and shutting out the one person who actually sees him? Caleb was unusually quiet the rest of the morning, the kind of quiet that wasn't fear or sadness, but deep, buzzing concentration. His mind was replaying a secret he didn't want to lose. Mia could see it in the way he tapped his fingers on the armrest of his wheelchair, how his eyes drifted to the floor and then back up with a small, private smile. The kind of smile she hadn't seen in so long it felt like looking at a photograph from a different lifetime, as she drove him to school. He finally spoke, his voice small but full of breathless wonder. "Mom, did you see me when I stood?" Mia kept her eyes on the road, though her throat tightened. "I did. I really did it. Right? Yes, sweetheart, you really did." He gazed out the window at the passing palms along Sunset Boulevard, lost in his thoughts. It felt like waking up, like my legs remembered something. She didn't know what to say to that. In a life full of numbers, reports, therapy schedules, and prognosis charts, she had forgotten how children describe the world through sensation, through possibility, not limits. "Mr. Reed said I could try again later," Caleb whispered. Mia nearly swerved. "We talked about this," she said gently, but firmly. "Malik won't be helping without permission." Caleb frowned. "But he cares. You know he cares, right?" Mia inhaled deeply, choosing her words carefully. "Care isn't the only thing that matters. There are rules, safety, liability. But none of the doctors believed I could feel anything." Caleb turned to her, his eyes wide, searching hers. "And he believed me right away." It hurt more than Mia expected how much her son needed that belief, how starved he was for someone to look past the wheelchair. She reached over and squeezed his hand. "We're going to figure this out. I promise." She dropped him off at school, watching as the assistant wheeled him down the ramp. He looked back only once before disappearing inside, hopeful, curious, changed. Mia remained parked for a long moment, staring at the building, wondering how a janitor had managed to trigger a shift she couldn't explain. By the time she returned home, her mansion felt heavier, bigger, strangely hollow, and Malik was there, methodically sweeping the hallway, as though nothing extraordinary had happened the night before. He paused when he saw her. "Morning, ma'am." She nodded curtly. She wanted distance, but the image of Caleb standing kept flashing behind her eyes, haunting her like a question she didn't know how to answer. She walked past Malik, but something made her turn back. "Mr. Reed," she said. He froze, almost bracing. She studied him for a moment, the faded work boots, the old hoodie under the janitor uniform, the tired but alert eyes. "Not threatening, just earnest. I need to know exactly what you did yesterday. Not to accuse you, but to understand." Malik set the broom aside. "I helped him shift his weight. That's all." "Shift his weight? How?" He demonstrated by placing his palms against his own thighs, spreading pressure evenly and mimicking a guided stance, not forcing, supporting, letting him feel where his body still has memory. "Memory, muscle memory," Malik clarified. "Even when nerves weaken, the brain remembers patterns. Sometimes the body just needs someone to help it find the path again." Mia swallowed. "Do you think Caleb has a path?" Malik hesitated, then answered honestly. "I think he has potential, and potential deserves a chance." She stared at him in silence. No doctor had said anything like that in the last year, not with conviction, not with heart. "Miss Lennox," Malik added carefully, "I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you not to shut the door before you even check what's behind it." The words lingered like smoke. She wasn't used to being spoken to like this. Not gently, not truthfully. She turned away before he could see her expression. "I need to get to work." He nodded. "Of course, ma'am." But as she reached the door, Malik spoke again quietly. "For what it's worth, Caleb wasn't smiling last night because of what I did. He was smiling because he tried. He hasn't tried in a long time. The truth hit her with the force of a memory she had buried Caleb before the diagnosis. Running on the beach, legs covered in sand, shouting, "Mommy, look how fast I am!" She closed her eyes. She couldn't breathe. "I have to go," she said, and left without another word. At the office, she tried to lose herself in the work, the flood of emails, investor calls, strategy meetings. Her company had built predictive medical software used across major hospitals, a reminder that she existed in a world of cold precision, not miracles. But every time she focused on a spreadsheet, her mind slipped back to Caleb wobbling on unsteady feet. Her COO, Eric, noticed her distraction. "Long night?" he asked during a break. "Something like that," she replied. "Caleb okay?" "Yes, he's fine." She caught herself staring at the photo on her desk. Taken years ago, Caleb on her lap, laughing, arms around her neck. A version of him she hadn't seen in so long. "You know," Eric said, sipping his coffee. "Kids surprise us. They do things we don't expect. Sometimes they need someone we don't expect." She looked at him sharply. "What are you suggesting?" "Nothing," he said quickly, "just talking." But his words sank in deeper than he knew. That evening, when Mia picked up Caleb from school, he was buzzing with excitement. "Mom, I told my teacher I stood last night and she didn't believe me. But I know it happened." He grinned at her, toothy and radiant. "Can we try again tonight?" Mia's heart clenched. "We'll see," she said, defaulting to the safest lie. Yet something inside her, the part she had buried under spreadsheets and business deals in fear, whispered, "Maybe." As they drove through their gated neighborhood, Caleb suddenly asked, "Mom, do you think Mr. Reed will still help me someday?" Mia didn't answer, because she didn't know, because the question scared her, because she couldn't admit how much she wanted the answer to be yes. When they arrived home, Malik was outside near the garage, lifting a box of supplies. He looked up, giving Caleb a small wave. Caleb's face lit up like dawn. "Hi, Mr. Reed." Malik smiled gently. "Hey, champ." Mia watched Caleb's joy, watched Malik's steady kindness, watched a connection forming she didn't fully understand yet. And for the first time, Mia felt the tug of a truth she couldn't ignore. The janitor saw her son, really saw him, and she wasn't sure why that frightened her more than anything she'd faced in her life. Mia didn't intend to wander into the kitchen that night. She had meant to head straight to her home office, drown herself in work, silence every thought circling her mind since yesterday. But the low hum of a kettle and the soft clinking of ceramic cups caught her ear. When she stepped into the doorway, she found Mrs. Evelyn Grant, her housekeeper of nearly 20 years, standing at the stove, brewing chamomile tea as if she had sensed Mia's unrest from a mile away. Evelyn was in her late 60s, with silver hair tied neatly at the nape of her neck, and a calm that came from having lived through far too many storms to be rattled by new ones. She glanced over her shoulder. "You're pacing again." Mia blinked. "I wasn't pacing." Evelyn poured the tea into 2 mugs, set them on the counter, then gave Mia a knowing look. "A woman doesn't walk grooves into her marble floors unless something's eating at her." Mia sank onto a stool at the island, rubbing her temples. "It's been a long week." "It's Tuesday," Evelyn replied dryly. "And you've looked like this since last night." Her gaze sharpened with the intuition of someone who had watched Mia grow into power but also into loneliness. "I heard raised voices." "It wasn't an argument," Mia said quickly. "Not exactly." "Then what was it?" Mia exhaled. There was no point pretending. Evelyn had been with her through divorce, miscarriages, the early years of her company, the diagnosis that shattered her world. She was one of the few people Mia could never hide from. I walked into Caleb's room and found Malik helping him stand. Evelyn froze mid-step. Helping him stand. As in, stand. Yes. Good Lord. She sat across from Mia, her eyes wide but thoughtful. And what exactly was Malik doing? Some kind of physical guidance, pressure along the knees, stabilizing the hips. He explained it like he had training. Mia hesitated. And Caleb responded. Evelyn's eyes softened. He hasn't stood in months. I know. Mia wrapped her fingers around the warm mug, absorbing its heat. That's what scares me. Scares you? Evelyn raised her brows. I'd think it would give you hope. Hope is dangerous, Mia muttered. Every doctor has said the same thing. Progress like that is unlikely. Encouraging him without structure could give him false expectations. And if something goes wrong... Ah. Evelyn nodded, understanding. You're afraid to believe. The words landed too accurately. Mia looked away. I'm trying to protect him. Are you? Evelyn's voice was gentle but unyielding, the way only someone older and painfully wise could manage. Or are you protecting yourself from the disappointment of being wrong again? Mia's jaw tightened. That's not fair. Fairness isn't the question, dear. Evelyn leaned forward, her expression kind but steady. You've carried so much alone, so much fear, so much guilt. But children, they don't think about liability or prognosis charts. They think about what they feel. She paused. And last night, Caleb felt possibility. Mia swallowed hard. And Malik, you trust him? Evelyn took a long sip of tea. I trust what I saw. A man who looked at your boy not with pity, but with certainty. He's a janitor, Mia whispered, as if the word explained everything. He's also a father, Evelyn corrected gently. And I've seen plenty of licensed men with titles who had less heart than he does. Mia rubbed her forehead. You're saying I should let him help. I'm saying you should ask yourself what scares you more, the chance that he might be wrong, or the chance he might be right. Mia stared at her, shaken by the truth in the question. She opened her mouth to respond, but footsteps creaked in the hallway. Malik appeared at the kitchen threshold, holding a basket of folded towels. He stopped when he saw them, straightening self-consciously. Evening, Miss Lennox? Miss Grant? Evelyn gave him a warm smile. Evening. Malik. Mia nodded stiffly. Good evening. Malik shifted the basket in his arms, clearly intending to leave. But Evelyn turned to him. Malik, dear, would you mind staying a moment? He looked startled. Sure, ma'am. Evelyn nodded towards Mia. She's got questions. Mia shot her a sharp look, but Evelyn simply raised her teacup in a gesture that said, You're welcome. Malik stepped into the light, cautious but composed. If this is about last night, he said quietly, I understand your concern. Mia studied him for a moment, the sincerity in his posture, the exhaustion in his eyes, the quiet strength that radiated from him despite the uniform he wore. Malik, she said, I need to know something. Why did you believe Caleb could stand? Malik paused, then answered with simple honesty. Because he wanted to. And because I've seen kids surprise their doctors before. My little brother. He had a spinal injury when we were teens. Doctors didn't think he'd recover half of what he did. But he kept trying and someone kept helping him try. Mia's breath caught. Someone like you, Malik said softly. I learned how to support him, how to read the signs. Later, I studied it. I didn't finish school, but I learned enough to know that trying matters. Evelyn smiled, eyes misty. Mia felt something shift inside her,
Not trust, not yet, but the first hint of understanding. "What happened to your brother?" she asked. Malik's expression darkened with sorrow. "He passed away in his 20s. A car accident. Nothing to do with his injury." Mia's heart clenched. "I'm sorry." Malik nodded. "Thank you." Evelyn rested a hand on Mia's arm. "You see, he knows this world. Mia. Not just from a book. From life." Malik lowered his gaze. "I don't want to interfere with your family. I don't want to cross any lines. But when Caleb asked for help, I couldn't ignore him." Mia stared into her tea, watching the steam curl. "If," she said slowly, "if I allowed you to assist, it would have to be structured, watched, controlled." Malik nodded. "I'd follow every rule you set." "This isn't permission," she clarified quickly. "This is conversation." "Understood, ma'am." They fell silent. Evelyn stood and began rinsing her cup, humming softly, an old hymn about mercy and grace, the kind older Americans carried like a memory stitched into their bones. Malik shifted the basket and stepped back. "I'll get these put away." "Malik," Mia called before she could stop herself. He turned. "Yes, ma'am." She hesitated. Her voice, usually sharp and authoritative, came out softer. "Thank you for helping him, even if I wasn't ready for it." Malik gave a humble, sincere nod. "Any time, ma'am." When he left, Evelyn leaned against the counter, arms folded, eyes full of quiet triumph. "You're opening a door whether you admit it or not." Mia exhaled shakily. "I don't know what I'm doing." "No mother does," Evelyn replied. "But you're finally doing something." Later that night, as Mia tucked Caleb into bed, he whispered, "Mom, did you talk to Mr. Reed?" "Yes," she said truthfully, brushing his hair gently. "And I'm thinking." Caleb smiled in his sleepiest, softest voice. "Thinking is good." Mia sat beside him long after he drifted off, the weight of Evelyn's words lingering in her mind. Are you afraid he might be wrong, or that he might be right for the first time in a very long time? Mia didn't know the answer, only that everything inside her was beginning to shift slowly, deeply, irreversibly. The next evening unfolded with a strange, cautious tension. The air in the house knew something important was about to shift. Mia had spent most of her workday wrestling with herself, replaying Evelyn's words, replaying Caleb's hope, replaying the controlled steadiness in Malik's hands. By the time she arrived home, she still hadn't made a decision. But the question kept circling her like a shadow she couldn't outrun. If there was even a small chance Malik could help her son, didn't she owe it to Caleb to explore it? She found Caleb in the living room, coloring at the coffee table, humming to himself. His wheelchair was angled so the late sun warmed his legs, something he liked, even if he insisted he couldn't feel much. When he saw her, he brightened instantly. "Mom, did you come home early?" "A little," she said, setting her purse on the sofa arm. "I thought we could spend more time together tonight." Caleb grinned. "Can we try standing again?" The question hit her like a skipped heartbeat. She knelt beside him. "Sweetheart, you know what we talked about safety is important. But I want to try," he whispered. "I want to feel that again." His voice cracked just slightly, and something inside Mia wavered. She opened her mouth to respond, but footsteps echoed from the hallway. Malik appeared carrying a bag of cleaning supplies, stopping the second he saw them. "Evening," he said politely. "I didn't mean to interrupt." Caleb twisted around. "Mr. Reed." His face lit up with unmistakable joy. "Mom said, she's thinking." Mia stiffened. Caleb, what? He asked innocently. Malik looked between them, unsure. If you two need privacy, I can... Mia swallowed her nerves. Actually, Mr. Reed, I want to talk to you. Malik's brows rose, cautious, but not afraid. Yes, ma'am. She took a steadying breath. I'm considering allowing you to help Caleb again, under strict rules under my supervision.
Caleb gasped with a squeal of delight. Malik didn't smile. He exhaled slowly, as if absorbing a responsibility he didn't take lightly. I'd be honored, he said quietly, but only if you're sure. I'm not sure, Mia admitted, but I'm open. Malik nodded once. That's enough to start. Caleb clapped his hands. Mom, can we try? Please. Mia looked at her son, his wide eyes, his trembling excitement, and she felt something inside her soften in a way she hadn't expected. She turned to Malik. What would you need? Just space, he said, and a soft surface, and your permission to guide him. She inhaled deeply. You have it. Limited. Conditional. Malik nodded. Understood. They moved to the family room where the carpet was thick and forgiving. Mia sat nearby, her legs crossed, her hands clasped together so tightly the knuckles whitened. Caleb seemed to vibrate with anticipation as Malik knelt before him. You ready, champ? Malik asked. Yes, Caleb answered, chest puffing. Remember, Mia said, voice steady but urgent. No pushing him, no forcing anything. And the moment he looks unstable, I'll be there. Malik said calmly, I won't let him fall. Something about the certainty in his voice smoothed a corner of her fear. Malik positioned himself behind Caleb, guiding the boy's hands to his forearms. Okay, Malik said softly. I want you to breathe first, like last time. In, out. Caleb followed the rhythm, his little chest rising and falling with surprising control. Good, Malik murmured. Now I'm going to help you shift your weight, not lifting you, just guiding. Mia watched those hands, big hands, strong hands, move with meticulous care. There was nothing careless about him, no rush, no bravado, just a man wholly focused on her son. Slowly, gently. Malik pressed at the sides of Caleb's knees. Feel where your foot is, he coached. Don't fight the floor. Trust it. Caleb gripped him tighter. Are you doing it yet? Not yet, Malik said. You're doing it. And then gradually. Trembling, but real. Caleb's body rose. Mia felt her heart race as her son shifted upward, his legs straining, his muscles flexing weakly but undeniably. He wasn't standing fully, but he lifted himself 2 or 3 inches higher than before. His breath hitched. I feel it. Mom. I can feel. I see it, sweetheart, Mia whispered, tears pricking her eyes before she could hide them. You're doing amazing. Malik steadied Caleb's hips, correcting the angle with precise, almost instinctual guidance. Hold it. Hold it. Good. Now breathe slow. Caleb trembled violently, but he didn't collapse. Not until Malik carefully eased him back to his seated position, when he finally settled onto the rug, breathing hard. He burst into wild, breathless laughter. Mia pressed a hand to her mouth, overwhelmed. Her son hadn't laughed like that since before everything fell apart. Malik sat back slightly, giving Caleb space, smiling softly. That was you, champ. All you. Caleb leaned forward and threw his arms around Malik's waist, pure, spontaneous affection. Thank you, he whispered.
Malik froze for a second, shocked, then gently rested a hand on the boy's back. "Any time." Mia blinked away her tears and cleared her throat. "That's enough for tonight," she said gently. "We don't want to overdo it." Malik nodded in agreement. "Absolutely. Once a day is more than enough. His muscles need recovery time." That triggered something in her professional language. Medical awareness. "You really do know this," she said softly. Malik met her eyes without flinching. "I told you."
I learned because I needed to. My brother needed me, and now my daughter needs me. And sometimes kids like Caleb remind me why I learned it in the first place. Mia looked at him a long moment, long enough to see the truth of his sincerity, the weight of his experience, the quiet burdens he carried like armor. Caleb was still catching his breath, cheeks glowing, legs warm from effort. "Mom," he whispered, "can we do it again tomorrow?" Mia brushed hair from his forehead. "Yes," she said softly. "I think we can." Malik lowered his gaze, humbled. "Thank you, ma'am." She hesitated, then added, "Thank you, Mr. Reed." As Malik gathered his supplies and left the room, Mia watched him go with a mixture of fear and something she hadn't felt in a very long time, faith. And as she looked down at Caleb's glowing face, she realized that, for the first time in months, her son had something stronger than therapy schedules and medical reports. He had a spark, and that spark had a name: Malik Reed. By the next week, the quiet miracle inside Mia's home had begun to ripple outward, subtle at first, like a shift in gravity, then stronger, unmistakable. Caleb's days were different now. He woke up earlier, leaned forward in his wheelchair with anticipation instead of resignation, and asked every morning, "Is Mr. Reed coming today?" And every day, Mia found herself answering, yes, with a confidence that both comforted and terrified her. But outside the sanctuary of her home, pressure began to build real-world scrutiny, the gaze of people who didn't see Caleb's joy or Malik's dedication, people who only saw risk, liability, optics. It started on Tuesday during Caleb's routine check-in with his neurologist, Dr. Whitaker, a man in his late 50s, all rigid posture and polished vocabulary, the kind of doctor who measured progress strictly by charts. "He seems more alert," he observed, adjusting his glasses while flipping through the tablet. Caleb looked up from the exam table. "I felt my legs last week," he said proudly. Dr. Whitaker froze, not intrigued, but skeptical. "Felt? How like tingling like they woke up." Caleb delivered the words with all the conviction of a child telling the truth. "It wasn't phantom. I really felt them." Dr. Whitaker gave a practiced smile. "Sometimes children interpret sensations differently. Phantom signals. Not uncommon." "It wasn't phantom," Caleb insisted, brow furrowing. "I really felt them." Dr. Whitaker turned to Mia. "Has anything in his routine changed? New medications? Therapies?" Mia hesitated. She knew exactly what he was asking, and she knew exactly what he would think of the truthful answer. "Nothing official," she said carefully. "Just some assisted movement at home." Dr. Whitaker frowned. "Assisted by whom?" She cleared her throat. "Someone with experience, unlicensed, but experienced." Dr. Whitaker lowered the tablet. "Mia, that's dangerous." "It's supervised," she countered. "I'm present." "That's not the point," he said firmly. "Unlicensed practitioners, family members, aides, janitors, whoever they are, they're not trained to predict complications. They can trigger spasms, nerve damage, long-term regression." Mia stiffened. "I'm aware of the risks." "Are you?" Dr. Whitaker stepped closer, lowering his voice. You are a high-profile figure. If something goes wrong, not only would Caleb pay the price, but the fallout for your career would be substantial. There it was, the part that always surfaced when people talked to her status, liability, public image.
With all due respect, Mia said quietly, my concern is my son, not my company. Dr. Whitaker didn't flinch. Then keep him safe. Stick to the plan, not to experiments from unqualified individuals. Caleb's hopeful expression dimmed. Mia felt something cold slide through her chest. She nodded politely, ending the conversation, but the words clung to her like burrs.
Later, in the car, Caleb whispered, Mom, does that mean I can't work with Mr. Reed anymore? She sighed, gripping the steering wheel. It means we have to be careful. But he helped, Caleb pleaded. You saw it. I know, she murmured. I know, sweetheart. That afternoon, when they arrived home, Malik was cleaning the patio windows. He noticed Caleb's slumped posture immediately. Hey, champ, he said gently. Rough day. Caleb didn't answer. He simply wheeled himself towards the family room and stared at the rug where he'd last stood. Mia approached Malik. The doctor thinks this is a bad idea, she said quietly, arms crossed. Malik nodded slowly, not surprised, but clearly hurt. Most of them do, he said. He said unlicensed help is dangerous, that it could cause nerve damage. Could, Malik admitted. But so can inactivity. So can giving up. His voice softened. And Caleb isn't the type to give up. She exhaled shakily. This is more complicated than you know. There are people watching me. People who want reasons to call me irresponsible. I get that, Malik said sincerely. But the question you have to ask is, are you protecting Caleb, or are you protecting yourself? She stiffened. That's unfair. No, ma'am, Malik said gently. It's honest. She didn't have the strength to argue. Instead, she whispered, Give me time to think. Malik nodded. Always. But the tension didn't stay confined to the house. 2 days later, Mia had a meeting downtown with her company's legal counsel and 2 board members, older men in expensive suits, who believed they understood the world better than anyone else. Halfway through the meeting, one of them, Richard Holloway, leaned back and steepled his fingers. Before we continue, Mia, we need to discuss something. If it's about the new software rollout, it's about your son, Holloway interrupted. Specifically, rumors that you've engaged an unlicensed assistant to perform therapeutic exercises on him. Mia's stomach dropped. That is a personal matter. Not when it puts the company at risk, another board member said firmly. A scandal involving improper medical care, especially on a child, reflects on leadership. You're out of line, Mia said coldly. Holloway folded his hands. Mia, you're the face of Lennox Health Systems. If something happens to your son because of an unauthorized caretaker, someone with no credentials, every news outlet will tear you apart. Heat flared beneath Mia's collar. His name is Malik, she snapped. He is not an unauthorized caretaker. He's a man helping a child. He's a janitor, Holloway corrected. Mia felt something sharp break inside her. And he's done more for my son in 1 week than a dozen licensed therapists have in a year. The room went silent. Holloway's expression tightened. You're letting emotions cloud judgment. I'm a mother, Mia said, her voice trembling. That is my judgment. When she left the meeting, she sat in her car with her hands shaking on the steering wheel. She'd never felt so exposed, so judged, so cornered. That evening, when she returned home, she found Malik crouched in the hallway repairing a loose tile. Zara sat beside him, quietly drawing in a sketchbook. When she looked up, she smiled shyly. "Hi," she whispered. Mia blinked. "Hello. Zara." Malik looked up, sensing something in Mia's posture. "Everything all right?" "Ma'am?" She didn't speak, not at first. She just watched him, this man who had been viewed as invisible by so many. This man who'd done nothing but help children despite the world's insistence that he stay in a box. This man who her son adored. This man the board had reduced to a liability. "I'm fine," she said softly. Malik didn't believe her, but he didn't press. Later that night, as Mia watched Caleb sleep, she realized something fundamental had changed inside her. She was no longer afraid Malik might be wrong. She was afraid he might be right, afraid that the world, its rules, its prejudices, its cold systems, would force her to choose between safety and possibility, and for the first time in her life. Mia Lennox wasn't sure which side she was supposed to stand on. For 2 days, Mia avoided making any decisions. She floated through the house like a ghost, polite, composed, distant, while inside her chest a storm raged. Every path forward felt like a risk. If she let Malik continue helping Caleb, she could face scrutiny, backlash, even legal consequences. But if she stopped him, she would be extinguishing the first spark of hope Caleb had felt in a year, and for a mother who had already watched too many lights fade in her son, that felt unbearable. On Thursday evening, it was Caleb who finally broke the stalemate. He wheeled himself into her office as she sat staring blankly at a spreadsheet she wasn't absorbing. "Mom," he said softly. She looked up. His tone alone made her throat tighten. "What is it?" "Sweetheart." Caleb rolled closer, his small hands gripping the wheels with purposeful determination. "I know you're scared." Mia froze. "What makes you think I'm scared?" "Because you keep looking at me like you're waiting for me to break." The words landed with a quiet, devastating accuracy. Mia pressed a hand to her forehead. "Caleb, I'm not made of glass," he said gently. "And I don't want to live like someone who's supposed to stay still forever." She turned in her chair, eyes stinging. "I don't want you to get hurt." "I'm already hurt," Caleb whispered. "But when I try to stand, it hurts in a good way. Like trying means something." Tears blurred Mia's vision. He wheeled even closer. "And Mr. Reed, he doesn't treat me like I'm broken." She closed her eyes because the truth was too heavy to look at directly. Caleb's voice trembled with something deeper than youth, something that came from months of frustration. "Please, Mom, let me try again. Let him help me." She leaned forward and took his hands. They were small, warm, earnest. "I want to keep you safe," she whispered. "But I'm starting to wonder if I've kept you too safe." Caleb nodded, gripping her fingers. "Yeah, maybe." For the first time, Mia truly let herself feel the weight of both choices, and the realization that protecting her son might mean allowing him to risk falling. That night, she didn't sleep. At dawn, she found herself wandering downstairs toward the backyard patio, where Malik often took his break after finishing the night shift. Sure enough, he was there, sitting quietly on the steps, a thermos beside him, watching the soft orange glow rising over the Los Angeles skyline. He didn't turn when she approached, but she knew he sensed her presence. "Morning, ma'am," he murmured. "Couldn't sleep either." "Not really," she said. He glanced up, eyes tired but steady. She took a seat beside him, leaving a careful distance between them. The cool morning air smelled faintly of jasmine from the garden. "I talked to Caleb," she said. "He wants to continue." Malik nodded. "I figured he did.
But I also spoke with his doctor and my board. They're concerned. Very concerned. I understand. Malik replied quietly. The world always gets loud when someone tries something different. She studied him. Why aren't you fighting harder for this? Malik inhaled deeply. Because I'm not entitled to fight for your child. You are. I'll help if you let me. I'll step back if you tell me to, but I won't push you either way. But you believe he can improve? Yes, he said simply. I do. How can you be so sure? Malik looked at her, really looked at her, as if weighing whether she could handle the truth. Because I've seen what happens when kids have someone who believes in them. And I've seen what happens when they don't. His voice grew quieter. My brother only walked again because he had someone fighting at his side. Kids don't need miracles. They need people who don't quit on them. Mia's breath caught. You think I'm quitting on him? Malik shook his head. No, ma'am. I think you're afraid. And I think fear makes people freeze. The honesty in his tone hit her harder than any accusation could have. She turned her gaze toward the rising sun. You're right, she whispered. I'm terrified. Malik was silent for a long moment. Then softly, he said, Courage isn't about not being scared. It's about choosing something bigger than the fear. She let the words settle. They felt like something her father might have said. Strong. Simple truths from a generation that had carved life out of hardship. If we continue, she said slowly, it has to be safe, structured, supervised. Of course, and you would need to teach me as well. I need to understand what you're doing. Malik nodded. I'd be glad to. You should be part of it. She exhaled, a long, trembling release of tension. All right. We try again. Malik blinked, surprised by the softness in her tone. Yes, ma'am. But she wasn't finished. And Malik, I want you to know something. He waited. This isn't about defying doctors or my board or anyone else. She looked down at her hands. This is about Caleb, and he deserves a chance to try. A slow, grateful smile spread across Malik's face. Not triumphant, but humble, as if he understood the weight of what she was entrusting him with. Then I'll give him my best, he said. Every time that evening. When Caleb saw the three of them together, Mia sitting near the rug, Malik preparing the space, Evelyn leaning against the doorway with a soft smile, his eyes filled with bright, trembling excitement. We're doing it again, he whispered. We're doing it together. Mia corrected. Malik crouched behind him. Ready, champ. Ready. And with Mia's hand on Caleb's shoulder, Malik guiding his stance, and Evelyn quietly praying under her breath. Caleb rose, not perfectly, not steadily, but with a determination that made Mia's entire world tilt. His legs trembled, his breath caught, his body wavered. But he didn't fall. Malik steadied him. Mia whispered encouragement. Caleb beamed. And in that moment, something unspoken passed between Mia and Malik, a shared understanding forged in effort and trust. They were no longer just a CEO and a janitor. They were allies, co-guardians of a fragile, brilliant hope, and neither of them, in that quiet miracle of a moment, could see just how complicated and dangerous that alliance was about to become. The next morning, a softness lingered in the Lennox house, a quiet certainty that something meaningful had begun. Caleb woke up humming, his fingers tapping a rhythm on the armrest of his wheelchair as Mia helped him get ready for school. His legs were still weak, still unreliable, but there was a new awareness in the way he moved, like his body was remembering its own potential.
But hope had a way of attracting complications, and by afternoon. The first one arrived. It happened during pickup. Mia waited in her car outside the school as children poured out, parents chatting in clumps along the walkway. When Caleb appeared with the classroom aide, she saw the excitement on his face, even from a distance. "Mom!" He called out the moment his wheels crossed the curb. "Guess what I told my whole class I stood again last night?" Mia's heart tightened. "Sweetheart, maybe keep that between us for now." "Why?" "Because people don't always understand the whole story." Before he could respond, the aide, Miss Harper, leaned forward and said with polite concern, masking something sharper, "Caleb mentioned someone from your home assisting him with mobility exercises." Mia stiffened. "Yes," she said carefully. "Someone with experiences helping, under my supervision." Miss Harper exchanged a glance with another teacher nearby. "We just want to make sure he's receiving proper care. Children with neurological conditions can be sensitive to untrained handling." "It's not untrained," Mia replied, her voice cooling. "And again, it's supervised." Miss Harper smiled, the kind of smile that wasn't a smile at all. "Of course. We just prefer to know what's happening outside school for his safety." As the woman walked away, Mia felt the old heat of scrutiny rising beneath her collar. Caleb looked up at her, confused. "Did I do something wrong?" "No," she said immediately. "You didn't." But the world around them was shifting, watching, judging. When they arrived home, Malik was mopping the entryway, earbuds in, humming softly to himself. Caleb waved. "Mr. Reed." "Guess what?" "Caleb," Mia said gently. "Let him finish his break first." Malik looked up, pulling one earbud out. "Hey, champ, everything all right?" Mia offered a strained smile. "School was eventful." Malik caught the tone instantly. "Trouble." "Just questions," she said. "Lots of questions." They moved to the family room for that evening's practice, but the mood was different, more cautious, shadowed by the outside world's doubts. Mia watched Malik adjust Caleb's stance with precise care, but she could also see the tension in his shoulders, the awareness that one misstep could cost her trust, his job, maybe more. Caleb, sensing the shift, fidgeted. "Did I make everyone mad?" Malik knelt so he was eye level with him. "No, champ, you didn't make anyone mad. You made people pay attention." "Feels the same," Caleb mumbled. Mia felt a pang in her chest, an echo of how she had felt her entire adult life, powerful in the boardroom, but judged for every decision she made outside it. "Let's focus," Mia said softly. "We're here. We're together. That's what matters." Malik nodded, guiding Caleb's knees. "All right, buddy. Breathe in slow. Don't think about who's watching. Just think about you." Caleb inhaled, eyes closing. Malik lifted gently under his arms, stabilizing his hips with a practiced touch. "Good. Now shift your weight forward. Trust your legs, even the shaky parts." Mia leaned forward, bracing herself emotionally as Caleb strained to rise. His muscles trembled, his face tensed, not in pain, but effort, then slowly. He stood higher than before, steadier. His knees didn't buckle, his breathing didn't falter. He stood long enough for Mia to feel her heart ache with disbelief. "Mom," he whispered. "Look, look." Tears filled her eyes. "I'm looking, sweetheart. I see you." Malik gently steadied him from behind. "Count to 5, champ. 1, 2, 3. Caleb's voice shook, but he stayed upright. 4, 5. Malik lowered him carefully. Caleb sank onto the rug, panting with exhilaration. Mia exhaled shakily. "That was incredible." Malik looked up at her, sweat on his brow. "He's getting stronger." She nodded, overwhelmed, but before she could speak, Zara appeared in the doorway holding her sketchbook. She walked quietly to her father's side. "Did I miss it?" she asked. "A little," Malik said softly. Zara knelt beside Caleb. "You stood again," she said with a shy smile. "You're getting better." "I hope so," Caleb whispered. "You are." Zara opened her sketchbook and showed him a drawing, two children standing together on a hill, holding hands. Caleb's face lit with a shy warmth. Mia watched the exchange with a tenderness she hadn't expected. These children, both burdened in their own ways, were finding something in each other, a small, precious solidarity. "We should get going," Malik murmured. "It's getting late." Mia stood. "Thank you for today." Malik nodded. "You got real courage in that boy, ma'am. He just needed a place to use it." After they left, the house fell into a thoughtful quiet. Mia tucked Caleb into bed, brushing his hair off his forehead. "Mom," he murmured sleepily, "do you think everyone will be okay with this someday?" She hesitated, but only for a moment. "Maybe not everyone," she answered honestly. "But the right people will. Like you. Like me." He smiled softly. "And Mr. Reed." "Yes, sweetheart. And Mr. Reed." When he drifted off, Mia stood at the doorway, her emotions tangled. She knew now, deeply, irrevocably, that she couldn't turn back, not after seeing what was possible. But she also understood something else: the world would not let this happen quietly. There would be questions, doubts, judgments. People who believed a janitor had no business touching her child. People who thought she, a wealthy CEO, was being reckless or naive. People who didn't understand that hope for a child who'd lost so much was worth fighting for. As she walked back downstairs, she paused by the window, looking out over the city lights beyond her gated property. For the first time, Mia admitted the truth aloud in a whisper meant for no one but herself. "We're going to have to protect this." And she didn't yet know how, but she knew she would. Because hope, fragile, miraculous, defiant, was now standing on its own 2 feet. By Friday afternoon, the unease that had been circling Mia's life finally stepped out of the shadows. It happened at the least expected moment, when she was checking her emails in the living room and Caleb was in the kitchen with Evelyn, talking about what he wanted for dinner. Malik had already arrived for his shift, quietly cleaning the foyer. The house felt peaceful, almost warm, the way homes feel when children have something to look forward to. And then the front doorbell rang. Not the soft chime guests used, but the firm, resonant press reserved for people who wanted to be heard. Mia frowned, rising from her chair. She opened the door and immediately felt her stomach drop. 2 people stood on the porch, both wearing laminated badges clipped to their belts. One was a woman in her 40s, tired eyes sharpened by duty. The other, a younger man with a tablet already in hand. "Good afternoon," the woman said. "Miss Lennox?" "Yes," Mia replied, her voice tightening. "Can I help you?" "We're with Los Angeles County Child Protective Services." Time stopped. The woman continued, her tone professional but not unkind. "We received a report regarding the possibility of unsafe, unlicensed physical intervention being performed on your son." Mia's blood went cold. "What? We need to have a conversation," the woman said. "May we come in?" For a moment, Mia considered slamming the door, but she was a public figure. She knew better. Anything aggressive, anything panicked, could make the situation worse. She stepped aside stiffly. "Of course." As they entered, Caleb's voice drifted down the hallway. "Mom, who is it?" Before Mia could answer, the CPS agents glanced towards the sound. The younger one asked, "Is that Caleb?" Mia moved quickly, blocking their view. "He's fine, and I would appreciate it if you told me who reported me." "Ma'am," the woman said gently, "reports are confidential." "Let me guess," Mia said bitterly. "His doctor, his school, my board." "I can't say," the woman repeated. "We're just here to ensure your son's well-being." Malik, hearing the voices, appeared at the end of the hallway, instantly tense, his eyes darting between the agents, Mia and Caleb behind her. The younger agent noticed him. "Sir, are you a member of the household staff?" Malik straightened, bracing himself. "Yes, I'm the janitor." The agent blinked, then checked the report on his tablet. "You're also listed in the complaint." Mia felt fury flare so sharply she nearly trembled. "This is absurd. Malik has done nothing wrong." The woman held up a calming hand. "Ma'am, we're not making accusations. We're gathering information." "Well, let's gather it quickly," Mia snapped. "Because my son is safe, and he is finally making progress." The agents exchanged a glance, professional, unreadable. "Ma'am," the woman said, "we'll need to speak with Caleb privately." "Absolutely not," Mia said immediately. "Ma'am, it's standard procedure." "My son has anxiety," Mia said. "He doesn't do well alone with strangers. We can have you nearby," the woman offered carefully. "Door open, within earshot." Mia hesitated. She hated this, every second of it, but refusing could escalate things dangerously. She took a slow breath. "Fine." She turned toward the kitchen. "Caleb, sweetheart, can you come here?" Caleb wheeled out slowly, confusion knitting his brows. "Mom, what's happening?" Mia knelt beside him. "These people just need to make sure you're okay. Just answering some questions." "All right." Caleb looked at the CPS agents with nervous eyes. "Okay. We just want to make sure you're feeling safe and healthy." Caleb nodded timidly. "Okay." They spoke with him at the dining table while Mia stood in the doorway, every muscle in her body coiled tight. "Do you ever feel unsafe at home?" "No." "Do you ever feel pressured to do something with your body that you don't want to?" "No," Caleb said immediately. "I like trying to stand." "And who helps you with that?" "Mr. Reed," Caleb said with a proud smile. "He's my friend." The younger agent made a note. "Your friend?" "Yes, he helped me feel my legs again." The woman exchanged a delicate glance with her partner. "And your mother? Does she force you to do these exercises?" "No. She watches and she cheers." Mia felt her throat tighten. "And Mr. Reed, does he ever make you uncomfortable?" Caleb frowned, confused. "He's never hurt me. He holds me so I don't fall." Mia's heartbeat slowed, just barely, relief seeping in at the edges. After several more questions, the agent stood. "Thank you, Caleb. You were very helpful." He smiled shyly. "Can I go back to coloring now?" "Of course," the woman said, smiling back. When he wheeled away, the agents turned to Mia. "We'll need to verify your son's medical plan and current therapeutic supports," the woman said. "I can send the files tonight." Mia replied sharply. "And we may need to follow up with his pediatrician." "Do whatever you need," Mia said. "Just wrap this up quickly." They nodded, gave a few final instructions, and left with polite efficiency. The moment the door closed, Mia's knees nearly buckled. She steadied herself against the wall. "Miss Lennox." Malik's voice was soft, urgent. She looked up at him. His posture was rigid, his expression tight with guilt and fear.
I'm so sorry, he whispered. This is because of me. No, she said immediately. This is because someone thinks they know better than us. They could take him away, Malik said, his voice cracking. CPS doesn't play around with cases involving disability. The thought stabbed Mia so deeply she nearly gasped. They won't, she said fiercely. I won't let them. Malik swallowed hard. Maybe I should stop helping for good. If I leave, it will calm everything down. No, she said, her voice sharp as broken glass. He froze. Mia stepped closer, anger shaking through her. You don't get to disappear now. Not when you're the first person who's helped my son feel hope again. But if staying puts you at risk, it's my risk to take, she said sharply, then her voice softened. And Caleb needs you. Malik closed his eyes, torn. He exhaled shakily. Then tell me what you want me to do. Mia held his gaze. Her decision came from somewhere deeper than fear, deeper than pride. Somewhere that once belonged to the woman she used to be brave, instinctive, unstoppable. Stay, she whispered. Help him. We'll face whatever comes. Malik nodded, his jaw tightening with resolve. Then I'm with you, both of you. For the first time since the doorbell rang, Mia felt a thin thread of steadiness return. Good, she murmured, because this isn't just about standing anymore. This is about fighting back. She glanced towards the kitchen where Caleb hummed softly to himself, coloring in quiet bliss, unaware of the world threatening his fragile progress. They think they're going to decide what's best for him, Mia whispered. But they're about to learn something. Malik lifted his chin. What's that? I'm his mother, Mia said, and I won't let anyone take away his hope.
The house felt different after CPS left. Quieter, but not in a peaceful way. It was the kind of quiet that came just before a storm, the kind that tightened Mia's chest and sharpened every sound around her. Even Caleb sensed it. He was unusually still that evening, his crayons untouched, his little fingers fidgeting in his lap as if afraid they might betray him. Malik stayed close by, helping Evelyn with small tasks, but his eyes never strayed far from Caleb or Mia. He moved like a man carrying a new heavy weight, one he feared might snap at any moment. After dinner, Mia tucked Caleb into bed. He clung to her hand. Mom, are those people coming back? He whispered. Maybe, she answered honestly. But if they do, it's just to check on you, to make sure you're safe. But I am safe. He frowned. Right. She kissed his forehead. You are, sweetheart. You're safe with me always. But as she closed his door behind her, a question gnawed at her. Would the world believe that she found Malik waiting in the hallway, hands in his pockets, shoulders tense? How is he? He asked. Trying to be brave, she replied softly. And failing. No, she said. He's braver than both of us right now. Malik nodded, but his jaw clenched. I need to ask something, Miss Lennox, and I need you to answer honestly. Ask. He swallowed hard. Do you want me to keep helping, really helping, not halfway, not secretly? I need to know what direction you're choosing, because once we go down this path, there's no turning back. She looked at him, really looked at him. The man standing in her hallway wasn't just a janitor. He was a father, a survivor, someone who had learned to fight life with bare hands and quiet resolve, and he was asking not just for permission, but for trust. Yes, she whispered. I want you to keep helping. Malik closed his eyes briefly, as if absorbing the weight of her decision. Then we'll face all of it together. But the consequences didn't wait. They began the next morning with a phone call. Mia was in her office preparing a statement for her legal team, represented by Astrid. A no-nonsense, astute lawyer. When her assistant buzzed in, "Mia, there's something you need to see. It's online." "What now?" "A blog picked up a rumor. It's spreading fast." Mia froze. She opened her laptop and scanned the headline, "Billionaire CEO allows janitor to perform medical procedures on disabled son." Her stomach twisted violently. She read further anonymous sources. Speculation. Coded language that reeked of bias. Unqualified staff. Risky behavior. Potential negligence. Buried in the comments were ugly suggestions. Racist insinuations. People demeaning Malik without knowing a thing about him. She slammed the laptop shut, fury surging through her. She marched downstairs where Malik was disinfecting the living room windows. "Malik," she said sharply. He turned instantly, alert, concerned. "Ma'am," she took a breath, forcing her voice level. "It's begun." He didn't ask what. He didn't need to. Something in his expression hardened. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "This is happening because of me." "No," she snapped. "This is happening because people are ignorant, because people see a black man near a disabled child and decide he's a threat." Malik's eyes flickered with something painful recognition, the weary acceptance of a truth he'd known his entire life. "I didn't want this to touch you," he said. "Or Caleb." "But it has," Mia replied, her voice trembling with emotion she could no longer suppress. "And now I have to decide how to respond." Malik set down the spray bottle slowly. "What do you want to do?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she walked towards the patio doors, staring out at the city beyond her gated walls. "All my life," she said softly, "I've cared about what the world thought of me. Being a woman in power means you have to be perfect all the time. And being a woman in power with a disabled child means you have to be even more perfect." She turned back to him. "But I'm tired, Malik. I'm tired of living by the world's rules when those rules don't do a damn thing for my son." Malik stepped closer, cautious but steady. "Then let's live by different rules." She studied him. This man who had walked into her home unnoticed for months, and now stood at the center of a battle she never expected to face. "You're not afraid?" she asked. Malik gave a low, humorless breath. "Miss Lennox, I've been a black man in America my whole life." He looked her straight in the eyes. "I'm always afraid, but I don't let that stop me." Something in Mia shifted at that. Something deep and fierce. "Then we move forward," she said. "We don't hide. We don't run. We face whatever comes." Malik nodded. "What about Caleb?" "We keep working," she said. "He's stronger every day, and no one gets to take that from him. Not doctors, not CPS, not the media, not the—" That evening during their session on the rug, Mia watched Malik guide Caleb through a new balance exercise. Her son strained, lifted, steadied, and stood for nearly 10 full seconds. "Mom, 10, he shouted, breathless. "I made it to 10. Mia's eyes flooded with tears. "Yes, you did. You really did." Malik's smile was soft, proud, but beneath it, she saw the weight he carried, the fear that their victory might spark more backlash. Later, after Caleb went to bed, Mia found Malik in the laundry room folding towels. "We need to prepare," she said quietly, "for conferences, for CPS follow-ups, for more rumors." "I know." He paused, folding a towel with careful precision. "I'll take whatever heat comes. I'll say whatever I need to say. You won't say anything, Mia corrected. Not yet. You don't owe the world an explanation for helping a child. Malik looked at her, really looked, as if surprised by the fierce protectiveness in her voice. Miss Lennox? Mia, she said softly.
Call me Mia.
His breath caught just slightly. Mia, he repeated, the name settling between them like something fragile and new. She stepped closer, her voice low but steady. You're not alone in this. Neither of you are. Malik held her gaze. I know. They stood there for a long moment, the silence between them, full of understanding, fear, and something neither of them was ready to name. But one thing was certain: the storm had arrived, and Mia Lennox was done being afraid of lightning. The fallout escalated faster than Mia could prepare for. By Monday morning, 3 different news outlets had contacted her PR team requesting statements about the janitor incident. A parenting forum had erupted with speculation, ranging from sympathetic support to harsh, uninformed criticism. Worst of all, Mia's board demanded an emergency meeting. She arrived at headquarters with her jaw clenched, her heels sharp against the polished floors, every inch of her radiating an authority she didn't fully feel. Eric, her COO, met her outside the conference room. They're riled up, he murmured. Be careful. Careful stopped being useful days ago, Mia muttered, inside. The board members sat in a stiff semicircle, expensive suits, hands folded, faces tight with judgment. Holloway, always the loudest voice in the room, began without pleasantries. Mia, this situation is spiraling. She sat spine straight. It's under control. It is not under control, Holloway snapped. Your name is trending with a phrase that includes unlicensed caretaker and negligent intervention. Investors are nervous. Investors don't control my personal life, but they do control the company you represent, he shot back. Another board member chimed in. We're not saying your son isn't important, but you're allowing an employee who has no formal medical training to perform risky activities with him. CPS is involved, for God's sake. Mia held his gaze, refusing to flinch. CPS is doing their job. I'm doing mine. Your judgment appears compromised, Holloway pressed. We strongly advise that you suspend the individual in question immediately. Mia's heart slammed against her ribs. You want me to fire Malik? Suspend, another member corrected. Pending an internal review, which would leak, Mia said coldly, and ruin his life. He is a janitor, Holloway said. He will find other work. The words hit her like a slap. Not just the dismissal, but the ugly implication beneath it. You don't know anything about him, she said quietly. We know enough, Holloway replied. We know he is putting you and the company at risk. Mia leaned forward, clasping her hands, her voice steady and razor sharp. What you know is surface level. What you know is comfort zone thinking. What you know is prejudice dressed up as caution. Several board members stiffened. Holloway's jaw tightened. This is not about race. Isn't it? Mia countered. Because if Malik were a physical therapist with a spotless resume and a 6-figure degree, none of you would be sitting here telling me to sever ties. But because he works a janitorial job and happens to be black, you assume he's unfit, you assume he's dangerous. Holloway opened his mouth, offended. That is not... I'm not firing him, Mia said, cutting him off. I'm not suspending him, and I'm not apologizing for letting a good man help my son. The room went silent. Eric, sitting against the wall, exhaled the breath he'd clearly been holding. Holloway leaned back, steepling his fingers. Then we will revisit your position as CEO, he said coolly. Something inside Mia snapped into clarity. For years, She had bent herself into shapes this board found acceptable, perfect, composed, unbreakable. But she was done bending. "Do what you feel you need to," she said, "and I'll do what I need to." She stood and left the room without waiting for permission. By the time she stepped into the elevator, her hands were shaking. The moment the doors closed, she let out a breath that felt like it had been trapped for a decade. When she arrived home early, Malik was in the backyard helping Zara with her homework. He looked up immediately, sensing something was wrong. "Everything all right?" he asked. "No," Mia said honestly. "But it will be." Zara excused herself, leaving the two adults alone. Malik approached carefully, wiping his hands on his work pants. "What happened?" "The board wants you suspended." Malik froze. "I'll do it," he said instantly, heartbreak tightening his voice. "If it protects you and Caleb, I'll go." "No," Mia said firmly. "You're not going anywhere." Malik looked stunned. "Mia, this could cost you everything." "Then it costs me everything," she said. "I will not abandon the one person who's given my son a chance at progress." Malik stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Why are you fighting this hard for me?" She held his gaze. "I'm not fighting for you," she said gently. "I'm fighting for the effect you've had on my son, and for the truth, and for what's right." Malik swallowed hard, emotion flickering across his face. "Most people don't fight for men like me." "Then most people are wrong," she whispered. For a moment, neither of them moved. The air between them shifted, charged, fragile, real. "Come on," she said finally, breaking the tension. "Caleb's been waiting for you." When they entered the family room, Caleb's face lit up instantly. "Mr. Reed!" he cried. "Can we try standing higher today?" Malik smiled, though his eyes were still thick with emotion, as they practiced. Caleb rose a little taller than the day before, shaking, sweating, gritting his teeth, but rising. Mia watched, her heart trembling with pride. When Caleb finally sat back down, panting and laughing, Malik wiped his brow. "You're getting strong, buddy." "I want to be stronger," Caleb said firmly. "I want to walk again." Mia inhaled sharply. Malik looked at her carefully, then back at Caleb. "Then we'll do everything we can," he said softly. "Together." Later, after Caleb fell asleep, Mia walked Malik to the door. "No more hiding," she said quietly. "Not you. Not what we're doing." Malik studied her, then nodded. "Whatever comes," he whispered. "We face it side by side." She felt something warm, dangerously warm, bloom in her chest. "Side by side," she echoed as he stepped out into the evening air. Mia knew the next battle would be the hardest yet. But she also knew this: she wasn't afraid anymore. Not of the board, not of the rumors, not of CPS, not of the world's judgment, because for the first time since Caleb's diagnosis, she had something stronger than fear. She had purpose, and she had someone standing with her. The storm broke on a Wednesday morning, the day CPS scheduled their final follow-up visit. Mia woke before sunrise, her heart already pounding, her mind rehearsing everything she needed to say, everything she needed to prove. The house was still wrapped in that fragile hush that exists before a fight. She checked on Caleb first. He was still asleep, curled on his side, his legs tucked beneath the blanket the way he had slept as a toddler. She brushed his hair back gently. "We're going to be okay," she whispered. She wasn't sure if it was for him or for herself. Downstairs, she found Malik in the kitchen already cleaning the counters out of habit. But the moment he saw her, he stopped. "It's today," he said.
Yes. You ready? She exhaled slowly. I'm not sure, but I'm determined. That's close enough. Malik nodded with quiet respect. Whatever they ask, I'll answer honestly. No, Mia corrected gently. You'll answer truthfully.
But you won't let them twist you into a villain.
You've done nothing wrong.
Malik swallowed hard, emotion flickering in his eyes. I just helped a kid, and that's all we need to say.
Mia replied. She placed a hand briefly, just briefly, on his forearm. The contact grounded her more than she'd expected.
By midday, CPS arrived again. Same 2 agents, same calm professionalism. But this time, Mia was ready. She welcomed them inside with a composed, unwavering demeanor, the same presence that had intimidated CEOs twice her size. Caleb sat at the dining table, his feet dangling above the floor, fidgeting but brave. Malik stood to the side, hands clasped, posture respectful but resolute. The lead agent opened her folder. Thank you for meeting with us again. Miss Lennox, we're here to review medical records, verify safety procedures, and speak with everyone involved. Of course, Mia said. Let's begin. For the next 40 minutes, she presented everything Caleb's medical charts, therapy history, video reports, neurology summaries. She spoke with precision and clarity, outlining risks, precautions, and her full supervision during every assisted movement. There was nothing sloppy, nothing unaccounted for. Then came the harder part. And this is Mr. Malik Reed, the agent said, turning towards him. Yes, Mia replied. He assists with limited mobility support under my direction. The younger agent looked at Malik. Mr. Reed, can you describe your involvement? Malik inhaled deeply. I help Caleb sense where his weight is. I support him so he doesn't fall. I don't force movement or do anything outside what his body can handle. The agent scribbled notes. Do you have formal training? Not a license, Malik said honestly. But I studied rehabilitation for 2 years and cared for my younger brother after a spinal injury. I know how to stabilize a child. I know the risks, and I know how to do it safely. The agent's pen paused. And why are you helping this family? Malik's voice softened. Because their son asked, because he wanted to try, and because sometimes kids need someone who believes they can do more than their chart says. Something in the agent's eyes shifted just slightly, but the questions continued. Has Miss Lennox ever asked you to perform anything unsafe? Never. Have you ever lifted Caleb without permission? No. Do you gain anything from this arrangement? Malik met her eyes. Just the hope of seeing a kid feel strong again. By the time they finished speaking with him, the room felt different, tighter, heavier, full of charged silence. Finally, the agent turned to Mia. We'd like to observe one of the exercises with your supervision. Mia nodded. She turned to Caleb. Are you up for it? Caleb straightened, determination glowing in his eyes. Yes, I want to show them. Malik knelt beside him, his voice calm and steady. All right, champ. You ready? Caleb nodded. Mia stepped closer, ready to catch, ready to explain, ready to fight if she had to. Malik guided Caleb's hands to his forearms. Deep breath, he murmured. You know the drill. Caleb inhaled, his chest expanding. Then slowly, with Malik's careful support, he began to rise. His legs trembled violently, his face scrunched with effort. Malik steadied his hips. Mia hovered close. And then, just like every evening, Caleb stood taller than last week, longer than yesterday, steady enough to hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, he counted. His voice strained but full of pride. 5. He stayed upright for a full second longer before sinking gently back to the rug. His breath came in gasps, but his face glowed with triumph. "See," he whispered. "I can do it." The room fell silent. The agents looked at each other, this time with something clear in their eyes. "All right?" The lead agent finally cleared her throat. "Thank you," she said softly. "We've seen what we needed to see." Mia's heart pounded, and the woman closed her folder. "We have no safety concerns. Your supervision is adequate. The activity is controlled and beneficial. This case will be closed." The breath left Mia's lungs in a rush. Caleb grinned. Malik exhaled with relief so sharp it bordered on pain. "Thank you," Mia said, her voice trembling. "Thank you. You're doing right by your child," the woman said with a faint smile. "And Mr. Reed, your care was evident." Malik lowered his head, humbled. "I appreciate that, ma'am." When the agents left, Mia locked the door behind them, then leaned her forehead against it, shaking with the release of everything she'd been holding back. "We're okay. We're okay," she whispered. "We're really okay." Caleb wheeled himself over, beaming. "Mom, I did it." Mia scooped him into her arms, holding him tight. "You did. Sweetheart, you did." Malik stepped back, giving them space, but Mia turned towards him. "Come here," she said softly. He hesitated. "Ma'am." "Mia, come here," she repeated. He moved closer, and she wrapped one arm around him, two, pulling him into the circle of her and her son. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't planned. It was something deeper, something built in quiet nights, trembling attempts, shared courage, a new kind of family forming in the cracks of fear. Caleb squeezed them both. "We did it together," he said. Mia smiled, tears slipping down her cheeks. "Yes," she whispered. "Together." That night, after Evelyn tucked Zara into the guest room, after the house settled into a warm, exhausted quiet, Mia walked Malik to the door. Neither spoke for a moment. Then Mia said, "You don't have to leave right away." Malik searched her face. "You sure?" She nodded. "You can stay here tonight with Zara, with us. Just stay." Malik's expression softened, full of something steady and grateful and deep. "If you're sure," he murmured. "I am. And for the first time since all of this began." Mia felt something bigger than fear, bigger than scrutiny, bigger than the storm they had survived. She felt peace, the kind of peace that comes from choosing hope over rules, courage over judgment, love over fear. Malik stepped inside. She closed the door behind him, and the future uncertain, complicated. Extraordinary finally felt like something they could face together, under one roof, as something that almost felt like a family. This story reminds us that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet decision to believe in someone when the world tells you not to. It teaches us that hope can come from the most unexpected places, and that true strength often shows up in the simple act of standing with someone who can't stand alone. In the end, compassion, not titles, is what changes lives.